Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Nothing quite says I have no clue what I'm doing like being angry about record profits. I feel like they already nailed that when they saw OP's success and yelled at him for it. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Okay, I'll carry items that don't sell. When I was in my early 20s, I was a seafood department manager for a chain grocery store. I was good at my job, motivated to do my best for the company, etc. At my first store, I increased the sales and gross profit percentage within a few months. After a year, I got transferred to a larger store that had tons of issues with instructions to turn things around. Within 3 months, we were leading the district. After a year there, I got transferred yet again with the same instructions, which is where the fun begins. The store was the smallest in the district and was barely making any money. My first store averaged $12K in sales per week, my second $20K in sales. The third counter was only doing $3 to $4K in sales per week and was losing money. 5 different department managers had failed in trying to fix things. My first week was spent getting things organized, going over sales reports, and getting to know the type of shoppers the store had. The problem was easy to see. The company was trying to sell things that people didn't want to buy. I quickly changed what was being ordered since it was such a slow store. There was a lot of downtime during the day. I was ordering whole fish and marketing everything in multiple ways. Whole but pre-cleaned, steaks, fillets, even the heads and bones, cutting everything myself. I also switched from fresh to frozen for high-dollar items that didn't sell well. I was keeping very detailed records in Excel spreadsheets. I was bringing in a lot less overall product, but had a much better variety that our customers actually wanted. By the end of the third month, we were doing almost $6K in sales per week, and my profit was again leading the district. It was something crazy, like 50% when the target was 30%. More people were coming in the store, so total sales were increasing as well. The fourth month was just as good, even though it was during our slow time, midsummer. Enter the district manager and my supervisor. Both came in to visit after seeing the reports for my third and fourth month. They'd figured the third month was a fluke, and when they got the fourth month, they figured I must be playing with the numbers somehow. Their first reaction was, wow, the department looks amazing. As I showed them what had been happening and what I'd done to fix it, you could see the supervisor getting more impressed while the DM was getting mad. I finally looked at the DM and asked what was wrong. He went on a 10-minute rant about needing to carry all of the things that didn't sell and asked why I didn't have fresh flounder. I replied that when we carried it at full price, we would only sell about 2 pounds per week, but we'd have to order 20 pounds. Things came in 10-pound increments, and fresh fish had to be ordered twice a week to carry it. I explained that doing things like that on a regular basis was why the department had been losing money. I also explained that I'd been told by the supervisor, who was there, to fix things any way I could. The supervisor denied saying that. I was told that I was to follow the plan the company had for the district at all times, and if I ever didn't have something on the sheet or had something that wasn't on the sheet, I would face disciplinary action. I asked for the instructions in writing this time and received it in the form of a written verbal warning for failure to follow instructions. I was obviously pissed, but I did what I was told. The next month was a nightmare. The store manager, district manager, and supervisor were constantly checking on me and trying to find things to write me up for. At the end of the month, we had sales just over $3K per week with a 2% gross profit, and thousands of dollars of fish had been thrown away when they went bad. We also were getting customer complaints about not having the items they wanted. The DM and supervisor came back in and started chewing me out. I sat patiently until I was asked if I had anything to say. I pulled out my reports that showed that I had ordered everything I was supposed to and how much of that was being thrown away because my customers didn't want it or couldn't afford it. Things went back and forth, and I finally asked how 2 people who obviously knew nothing about marketing had reached the positions they had. Maybe a mistake, but I was young and hot-headed. This time I ended up with written warnings for insubordination and failure to follow instructions and was told I was being demoted to clerk because I didn't know how to do my job. I challenged both through the union. Long story short, the insubordination was lowered to a verbal warning and the failure to follow instructions was completely removed since I had written proof that I was doing exactly what I was told. I was given a full-time clerk position at a different store and kept my manager pay. I ended up staying for about 8 more years before being forced out after refusing multiple promotion offers. They wanted to eliminate the full-time spot to save money, but couldn't take away my full-time. That isn't the end of the story. The way I'd been treated pissed off a lot of people at a lot of stores in the area. A lot of the same people also got worried the company would do the same to them, which sparked 2 issues. The first was almost every seafood department started following the company plan 100%. People started getting jobs with competitors as well. Over the next 2 years, seafood profits went down company-wide, which affected all the other sales, and a lot of talented people had jumped ship. The company ended up closing about 1/3 of their seafood counters. They switched to pre-packed product and closed 3 slow stores altogether in attempts to increase their gross profit. Not sales or actual profit, just the percentage. They're still around, but they lost a lot of market share and still struggle to keep talented employees. I no longer work any form of retail and will never go back. There's nothing like writing up an employee for following orders to undermine one's authority. Punishment for obeying orders really craters people's confidence in leadership. Another example of why unions exist. Glad you got to keep your pay for doing substantially less work. Too bad corporate-level morons are too disconnected to ever see what's literally in front of them, or in this case, what they're walking inside. You think my dog is the problem here? Then let's put it to the test. This story happened a while ago, but I thought I'd still share. I live in a village with a lot of dogs, most of whom I like and will always give a tickle or treat to. However, there's one dog and 2 dog owners I never want to speak to. Rita and Tom have had a golden Labrador named Birdie for the last 9 years. And I say this with no exaggeration. He is the worst trained dog I have ever met. To start with, he has 0 recall training. They try to call him, but clearly it doesn't work. It also doesn't help that Tom is deaf and so can't hear if someone tells him to get Birdie's back. He chases after every dog, if they want him to or not, extremely relevant for later on. Birdie's also not the friendliest dog, as he has growled and snarled at my dog, also highly relevant. I think that the 2 of them, being an elderly couple, maybe didn't realize how much energy Labradors have and how much training they need, and maybe they couldn't keep up with what Birdie needed. Just a theory, but seems like considering I've seen Tom get nearly dragged due to Birdie's excitement. Anyways, for context for this story, my dog, Lola, 14, is a somewhat reactive dog. Important, she does not bite other dogs, just snaps at them so they get the message. She's gotten better around a lot of breeds, but is particularly weary of Labradors, most likely due to having to protect our other dog from a mean Labrador neighbor at our old house. While she is reactive, I do everything I can to avoid a messy situation. I put her on the leash immediately when we see a dog who she doesn't know or like and try to distract her with a treat. And yes, before anyone says we've tried training classes multiple times, but they didn't work, so I resort to these methods. Only when I think the other dog will bound up to Lola and get in her face do I ask that the owner either put their dog on a leash or distract them for the 30 seconds we pass one another. Most owners usually say it's fine and just do it and then let their dogs off when we've passed. But there are a small but stubborn subsection like Rita who refuse, claiming their dog has every right to basically bound where they like, and in doing so, aggravate my dog. This particular time, I was in the field near Rita's house when I saw her and Birdie coming my way. I put Lola on the leash and hesitantly asked Rita if she could put Birdie on the lead because I knew he would run up to Lola and she might snap at him. Immediately, her face looks like I've asked if I could kick her dog. She's shocked and horrified and starts complaining, saying that, oh, this is a field. My dog will roam wherever he wants, and that your dog is only aggravated because she can feel your anxiety when she's forced on the leash. She'd be happier off the leash. At this point, I've had enough of Rita's BS and her thinking she knows everything about my dog. So I smile and say, okay, then let's try that out. At this point, I let Lola off the leash. Immediately, the 2 dogs get in a fight. Both dogs are at blame here. They are both equally aggressive. And I pull Lola away and put her back on the leash. No dog is injured in this. I made sure to get Lola away fast enough that neither dog could hurt each other while Rita did nothing. Rita scowled at me, then moved on quickly with Birdie. But now whenever we see each other, she diverts Birdie away from us, so problem solved, and she's never again questioned Lola's reactivity. I'm aware that may have been an move on my part, but honestly, I didn't care. We had that same conversation far too many times that I needed to show her that some dogs simply don't like other dogs in their faces, and that Birdie was not the perfect angel she thought she was. To clarify, I knew if I let her off the leash, there wouldn't have been any physical harm done to either dog, just a small fight, which would have hopefully put Birdie and Rita in their places. Well, definitely fits the malicious requirement. You were right about one thing. It was an move on your part to risk getting your dog seriously injured. That you're celebrating that says a lot. This is a story of two inadequately trained dogs and the two people responsible for that situation. And our last story. Sued the old property management company. Many years ago, I bought an apartment in an HOA. At the first AGM, I realized that there was something seriously wrong with the finances. I have to add that I was studying accounting as part of a degree at the time, which is why I noticed discrepancies when others hadn't. After further investigation, it became obvious that the property management company was grossly overcharging us for services and pocketing the difference between what it actually cost. I went to the HOA president and reported the results of my investigation. He was appalled. The embezzlement had been going on for a few years already, so the HOA board called a special meeting to discuss the situation. Everyone voted to change management companies. And here is the FHOA part. At the meeting, someone had the bright idea of nominating me as treasurer, and I was voted in. I wanted to decline, but I was a pushover and got guilt-tripped into accepting. I don't know about any other HOAs, but in ours, the board members didn't get paid for being on the board. It was a lot of responsibility and the stress without any return beyond keeping my own HOA fees as low as possible. Suing the old property management company took up so much of my time, too. The lawsuit dragged on for almost 2 years. We won in the end, and our reserves tripled, but it almost drove me crazy. After that, I promised myself that I would never live in an HOA again. Well done, OP. I understand not being happy about being strong-armed into a position you didn't ask for, but you clearly were the right person at the right time. On behalf of your neighbors, thanks. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.